here she is here.
The site of photosynthesis, though, they help capture light energy for the process of photosynthesis. This is a complicated process that is made up of a light-dependent reaction and a light-independent reaction, also called the Kelvin cycle. It's a big enough process that we'll have to have another video clip to cover that. But the leaf structure is designed to capture this light energy with their chloroplast.
Why is the leaf structure designed to capture light energy? What's the leaf shape? So if I were trying to catch light from above me, and I had this shape, and the light was coming up here, would there be much surface for the leaf to capture the light? No. Yes, it's got a flat surface so that the light hits it, and it's got a broad surface area so the light hits it in multiple places. If the leaf was like just a little tiny, like think of a pine needle. Do you think a pine needle does photosynthesis very well? No, because it's so skinny, it can't capture light very well. That's why leaves are broad like this. They have a large surface area for light capturing abilities.
The other reactant on our photosynthesis checklist is carbon dioxide. So how does the structure of plants help them obtain carbon dioxide? First of all, please realize that plants do something in addition to photosynthesis called cellular respiration, just like you. And they do need the gas oxygen, but they typically produce more oxygen than they use, which makes them helpful as oxygen producers. For photosynthesis, plants need the gas CO2, carbon dioxide. This is the gas, conveniently, that we exhale, which means that we breathe this gas out. Many plants have these fascinating little openings, pores really, called stomata. Stomata is the plural, and stoma is the singular form of that word.
What opens and closes the stomata? Guard cells. They guard it. Okay, the guard cells guard the stomates, so they can only open and close when they want them to. The plant doesn't always want to keep them open because then they can become dehydrated. That's bad.
Stomata are typically found on the bottom of leaves, and in some species they're actually on the top. Stomata have a major role in gas exchange. Gases can flow in through the stomata and out through the stomata, and the CO2 that enters is really needed for photosynthesis. There's only one little problem. The plant can't keep those stomata open all the time. Why? Well, water will escape. And remember, plants need water too for photosynthesis. So the plant has to determine whether to open or close its stomata. It does this with the help of guard cells. If guard cells have the stomata open, it gets the gases it needs, but it can lose water. If guard cells have the stomata closed, it gets to save its water, but then it can't get any gases. At night, most plants, with a few exceptions that we'll talk about towards the end, close their stomata because they can conserve water. At night, they can't do much photosynthesis because there's not much sunlight. So what's the point in keeping stomata open? During sunny days, most plants tend to open their stomata to get the gases they need to do the photosynthesis.
What gases do they need? Carbon dioxide, good.
But if the day gets way too hot and the plant is low on water, it may close its stomata. Different plant species have different kinds of adaptations in their structure to help them survive. Because if one thing is true about plants, they are survivors. Here are some great examples of plant structure adaptations that help them with various functions. Plants that have to conserve water, they tend to have very thin leaves, so they don't have much surface area, and that way they don't lose that much water. Think about.
Okay, so here we go. This is a good example of that. Thin leaves means they don't have much surface to lose water from, so they conserve their water.
Pine trees with their skinny pine needles. Or think about the plants that live in the desert. Remember how we said that most plants close their stomata at night? Well, some desert plants have adapted by opening their stomata at night when it's not ridiculously hot. And they have a specialized way to store the gases they need for the daytime. This allows them to close their stomata during the day to prevent water loss during the hot desert sun. Plants that have a lot of access to water, but maybe are shaded by lots of taller plants in the jungle, they might have really broad, wide leaves, so they can soak up as much sun as possible. It's hard to live in someone else's shadow. Since there's plenty of water, these big-leaved plants don't have to worry about all the surface area losing water because there's plenty of water to go around.
So you see how it's very environmental specific on what adaptations have formed for these plants, right? And that relates all the way back to natural selection. If you have if you're in the rainforest, there's a lot of water, but it's very, very shaded on the understory. You need something to help you capture light because you absolutely have to photosynthesis. Well, if you think a cactus or this orchid would be able to survive better there based on their leaf shape. The broadleaves, right? Because the broadleaves, it doesn't matter. You got plenty of water. You can have as much leaf space as you want. You need the leaf space to capture the light. The cactus is going to fail here hardcore because it doesn't have any leaves that will actually be able to capture the light. The cactus, its body cannot do photosynthesis. It's the little spiny things that are kind of like the pine, kind of like pine needles. So that's very environmental specific. So sometimes you have to think about the adaptation and what environment it's in and correlate them.
Or have you heard about carnivorous plants,
Yes.
like the Venus flytrap or the pitcher plant? These plants still do photosynthesis to make their sugar. But carnivorous plants also have the ability to digest insects, typically by using special enzymes in a juice that they secrete. These plants tend to live in areas where the soil is low in nitrogen. Plants and
So everything needs nitrogen, everything. If you have soil that's low in nitrogen and you don't have very many nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the soil, that plant is going to suffer. It has no way to get nitrogen. So how do we get nitrogen as animals? I can't breathe in. I can breathe in nitrogen from the atmosphere, but my body can't get it. It just breathes it right back out. So how do we get it? Eating other things, right? So if a plant can't do nitrogen fixation from the roots up, the only other choice it has to get nitrogen is to do what? To eat something else. Well, normally plants don't eat anything else, right? Unless you are a Venus flytrap, you have the ability to eat something else.
other organisms use nitrogen to make proteins. Insects are a great way to supplement this nitrogen need. If you ever look at the ingredients in plant fertilizer, you'll find that fertilizers are typically high in nitrogen. And you know when people hang up mistletoe? So sweet, right? You're supposed to get a kiss under it. Is it terribly ironic that you are hanging out a potentially parasitic plant that uses its roots to steal nutrients and water from its host plant?
Yeah.
Plants also have some amazing reproductive adaptations, but we have another clip for that. Well, that's it for the Amoeba Sisters, and we remind you to stay curious.
Yeah. So fun fact of the day, mistletoe is something that's kind of not cool. That's fine. I know. All right, do me a favor. Somebody next to you, you guys need to switch your vocabulary papers, whether you did it or not. I want you guys to check each other's. If you need a color pencil or some highlighter, something else to write with, this is still playing, isn't it? So switch. Even if you didn't do it, I want you to switch because I want everybody to have the answers when they leave here today. So make sure you write your name on it. So even if you didn't do it, you need to switch. Write your name on it so you guys can see each other's papers. Let me grab some color pencils. Who needs something colorful?
Here you go.
Anything colorful? Anybody need anything colorful?
I do.
Anything else? I want you to have your own paper, own marker, pen. Anybody else?
Or you want this? Thank you.
Anything else? Alright, so let's quickly check these. You guys are going to shout out what you think. Now, these are some of these, listen guys, some of these terms you are probably familiar with. Some of them you're like, I have no idea what this is. But you've got the World Wide Web at your fingertips. You've got your brain. You've got your book. You got lots of stuff. And I tried to tell you about the prefixes and use prefixes for terminology. Alright, so the seed-bearing structure. And as I go here, I'm going to kind of walk you through a picture. So you guys were supposed to draw a picture for yours. We're going to kind of draw as we go. And if you want to draw as we go, if not, you're supposed to draw pictures for each of your words. If not, you can draw with me now. And I'm going to go kind of fast on the drawing though, so forgive me. Seed-bearing structure of conifers. What do you guys say? Anybody? Cone. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little pine cone. All right, that's a pine cone. Look how beautiful it is. Okay, so we've got a cone. A cone that's the first one. That's the letter D. 2, a food storing leaf on the inside of a seed. This one's kind of hard. Anybody? Loud and proud. E, thank you, good. And this one's called the cotyledon, but there's something called monocots and dicots, and that cot word is the cotyledon. I don't say it very well. So it's like if you have a seed, and if it has one leaf on the inside, it's called a monocotyledon. And if it's got 2 kind of leaf things on the inside, it's called a dicot or a dicotyledon. So that's kind of what I was looking for to your pictures there. So food storing leaf is just in general a cotyledon. E. Plant that lives for one growing season. Everybody should got this one. B, annual. Thank you. An annual. So like and who's ever heard of a yearbook being called an annual?
Yes.
Some of us. Okay, so your parents probably called yearbooks annuals back in the day because it's like you got one every year. You got one annually. All right, good. So that's 1 year. Annual is 1 year. A plant that does not have vascular tissue. So not is no, right? So what do you guys say? Non-vascular, good. That would be letter N. A plant that has vascular tissue. Vascular plant, right? That one kind of makes sense. So that's D, D. So far so good, guys? And write down the right answer so they can find out what they missed, okay? 6, regulates water and gas exchange by opening and closing the stomata. Guard cells, right. So you had your little stomate, and then you have these like kind of cells on the side. So these are the guard cells. Okay. 7, oh sorry, that would be letter I. 7, the thick waxy covering that prevents water loss. What do you guys think? Everybody has them on their fingers too. We have them on our fingernails. Cuticles, yes, F, good. So we have cuticles. You guys know that sometimes you guys, if you go try to get your nails done or something, guys, I know you do that all the time, but if you push back your cuticle, it does push back some, but that cuticle is there to protect the backs of your fingers, and it kind of protects your nail bed from drying out. So you definitely need a cuticle just like a plant needs a cuticle. So that was letter F. The pore on the underside of a leaf. Pores. Stomata, right? That's what we just saw in the video. So stomata was letter Z, or I'm sorry, yeah, Z, stomata. Plant that has 1 cotyledon. Monocot, right, monocotyledon, good. That would be letter M. Evaporation of water vapor through the stomates. So just, what does it mean when plants lose water? That would be water going in or out through like a cell. This was like back in the water cycle. This is transpiration, good. Transpiration, that was letter AA. So evaporation of water through the stomata. So if you have a leaf and you have a little hole in them and you've got water coming out, that is transpiration. Okay, number 11, a system of tissues that conducts water and nutrients through the plant. So not a specific one, you need the general word for that. CC, vascular tissue, good. So if you have a plant, and this is its stem, you're going to have what travels up? Water or food? Right, water travels up, and then what travels down from the leaves? The food, right? So what word went with water flow? What tissue type? I'm sorry, what tissue type? Xylem, right. That is vascular tissue, right? But specific vascular tissue is xylem. And then this other one was phloem and food go together, so phloem and food go together. Okay, so those are the 2 types of vascular tissue. It's just that first question here is just a general term. So 11 was CC, good. The male structure of the flower that produces and releases pollen. Did anybody get this one? We haven't talked about this one at all yet. No? It's A, anther. So I was like, what is the letter? A, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I heard pistol. Okay, yeah, A, anther. Jimmy, and then on your paper or like in your book or something, do yourself a favor. Let's draw, say, flower right now. Ready? It's going to be a real cheesy flower, but we're going to do this. Everybody has pencil to draw or a pen to draw with. So draw yourself a little like, that's kind of like the middle of the flower. We got some petals. Here, here. Oh, that one's a little weird looking. All right, so you have a flower so far, and there's another flower leaf down here, petal. Those are petals, okay? Draw yourself a flower of some sort. It doesn't have to be pretty. And then these are the anthers. Well, this is the entire male part of the flower are the little things that stick out, and they have like a little bud looking thing on the end of it. So I just threw 3 anthers. I drew like a little heart almost on the end of it though. Ooh. There you go. All right, so this red, the whole red thing is called an anther. And that's just called the male part of the flower, okay? There's another question later. Let's see where it is. Where do you see, let's see. Oh no, sorry, not the whole thing. I was gonna say, where do you see stamen? We just did anther. This whole thing is, I just lied to you. It's called the stamen. I thought that's what we just did. The whole shebang is called the stamen, but the specific little guy at the very top, the little part where the pollen is released, that's called the anther. And that's what our question just asked about. It asked about releasing pollen. So if you want to draw like little pollen particles coming off of that, that would remind you that the anther, the very tip of it, is releasing pollen. Pollen, aka plant sperm, okay? So the whole thing is called the stamen. The whole thing is called the stamen. Anybody know the name of just the straight part? Starts with the F. Look on your vocab. Say it again. No, not fruit. Filament. Doesn't that kind of, you guys know what a filament looks like? It's like just a filament of something. It's just a small string of something, okay? So this right here, just the stick part is called the filament. Oh, well, it's going to be, you'll see it again later. I thought, well, I put this one on here. That's okay. All right, so we've got the male part. The whole shebang is called the stamen. Well, how do you think I remember that's the man part? Stamen, okay? You see the word men right there. The whole shebang is called the stamen. The top part where the pollen's released is the anther, and then the stick part is the filament. All right, let's jump back on the vocab here. 13, a soft-walled vascular tissue that conducts carbohydrates. What did you guys say? Phloem, right. So, yeah, big that up, it'll break. Phloem is going to be the one that brings food around, and carbohydrates just is an example of a food. So that was letter S. Yeah, letter S. 13 is S. Now, the entire male structure of a flower? FF, stamen, right. That's what we just went over. The entire male part of the flower is the stamen. Good, FF. This one's kind of weird, but I think you guys will get it. If you think about your outermost dermal layer, what's the plant's outermost dermal layer? Dermal refers to skin. So what is our outside skin called? Epidermis, right. So the plants also have an epidermis. So that would be letter I. So if you've ever been to the dermatologist, just because that's the skin doctor. Derm means skin. Number 16, a matured ovary that contains seeds in an angiosperm. I'll tell you what angiosperm is in a second. So, no, I just said 15 was I. That was the epidermis. 16, you guys said J. J was fruit. Good. So, draw yourself. If you're a drawer, draw yourself a little apple or something. Okay. This is called a fruit, aka an ovary. That is a plant ovary, and the way that forms is down deep in this. You can't, microscopic view down in the plant. There's this little tube. I'm trying to draw it. Like there's that bottom part of the plant that kind of is fat, and then you get the stem. There's this little tube down here, and that tube is called the ovary, and then it can actually produce fruit like berries or something like that. Chandler, what's up?
You said that number 6 was I think you meant L.
6. Oh, I'm so, where was guard cell? Yeah, I must have just read that wrong. Yeah, 6 is L. Sorry about that. I looked at the straight line and I saw I. Thanks, guys. All right, so 6 was L. 15 was I. Okay, 16 was J. 17, a growth response to a stimulus. And this is just one we haven't gone over yet. It's BB. Okay, tropism is that definition. You're going to see that today in your web quest. Tropism. And that just means like growth response. Like if you put a plant by a window, and the window is plant staying upright, and the window has some sun coming into it, what generally does the plant start to do over some time? Lean towards the light, okay? It means it's just growing towards the light source. Or if you put a plant upside down, and you hang it upside down, and the sun's above it, it actually will grow up. It'll grow down and then up. So it grows towards the light. That's just called a response to stimulus, the light. Okay, number 18. The male gamete in plants. So what's a male sperm, or what's a plant sperm called? It's U, which is pollen, right? Pollen is plant sperm. Pollen is plant sperm. So that's the male gamete of the plant is U. So this stuff here is called the pollen, floating away to go fertilize another flower. 19, the female part of the flower. Now, so we've not drawn the female part yet. So let's draw the female part on your flower. Right now you've got all male parts. The female part is just going to be sticking in the middle of it. I'm just going to draw it a little darker in a different color, so blue. And they actually have an end on theirs too. It's like a little receptor. It's kind of just the bigger of them. And I think I drew this better. It is what it is. So I'm just going to try to draw like 3 little prongs on that one so you can see that it's different. Alright, so that whole plant female part here, the whole shebang, is called the pistil. Okay? The pistil. I don't know how you're going to remember that. Come up with something for yourself. I think everybody has really silly ways to remember that one. So, the pistil is going to be the female part. This is the sticky, write down for yourself, sticky stigma. Sticky stigma. Sticky stigma. What do you think sticks to the sticky stigma? That's the female part of the flower. The pollen, right. The plant sperm's got to stick to something. That's the sticky stigma. So if this plant sperm traveled over here, it can actually self-fertilize its own plant, and a lot of times that's how they reproduce. It's totally fine. It's not incest, okay? It's like fertilizing itself. Okay, so the pollen can stick to the sticky stigma. And then let's actually answer the question though. What was the question? 19, the female part of the flower that receives the pollen. What are you guys saying? The sticky stigma, right. So X. X is stigma. 20, a plant that lives for more than 2 growing seasons. Perennial. So more than 2 is per. It's like poly, it's kind of many, okay? So that was letter P? Letter P, okay. Plant that has 2 cotyledons. Dicot, right, H, good. Dicot. A plant that lives for exactly 2 growing periods. Huh? Biennial, so C. Okay. The entire female part of the flower, did you guys say? Right, the pistil is the entire female part, so that was letter T. When a seed begins to grow, what does it mean when a seed is growing?
It means K.
K is germination, yes, okay. A seed is germinating, so the seed is growing. That's what germination means. It's kind of starting to sprout. 25, the small stalk that connects the blade of the leaf to the stem. This is just a really weird word, but when you have a leaf, it's got that little stick part and then it connects it to the stem. That's called the petiole. That's letter what? R. R, thank you, petiole. Brightly colored part of the flower that attracts pollinators. What do you guys say? Petals. That's pretty easy. Petals actually have a purpose. It makes them pretty, and then pollinators like bees and butterflies come and visit them, and they actually accidentally deliver pollen that way. You with me, Trey? You good? Okay. 25 was R. So 26 was Q, right? Q. Yeah. 27, the offspring of a plant. V. Not. Oh, V. I thought you said V. I'm sorry. Yeah. V. Like violin. Seed. Good. So that is seed. 28. The vascular tissue that is made of hollow dead cells that conducts water. So which of those conducts water? Xylem. Right. That's EE. Xylem is EE. Yes, ma'am. 27. The offspring of a plant is a seed, which is letter V, like violin V. All right, 29, the part of the pistil that holds the ovum and develops into a fruit. Where's O? O is ovary, yeah. I said O and yeah. So ovary is the plant part, but actually when the ovary ripens, that's the fruit. So the ovary and the fruit are almost the same thing, it's just one's after it's been fertilized. The ovary is always there though. Last one, the female part of the flower that holds up the stigma. So last letter. Y. Right, Y style, and I didn't label that one up here yet. So the whole thing is called the pistil. The sticky part is called the sticky stigma. The straight part is called the style. I always think that girls they have style, so the style goes to the female part. I mean, guys can have style too, but not like girls do. Yeah.
What was the one? 21.
What?
21.
21. A plant that has 2 cotyledons is a dicot, which is H. Okay, give it back to your person so they can see what they got right and wrong. Take a minute to look at it.
Yeah.
29 was O. Okay. Here's what I'd like to do. I think all the computers are logged on. If you've not, then you'll probably jump in with somebody because I'm not waiting 10 minutes for that baby to boot up. That's why I had all the computers tried to log on before we got started. You're gonna have in your what's this called? Your little book that you're making. This is going to be called the Plant Web Quest, okay? The organization of the plant kingdom. It's a lot of information on just plants, right? And you're going to have a lot of vocabulary terms you should be very familiar with. Yes, ma'am. If you can put a note paper and then like put it in there at the very end later, I'm going to collect all that together as a test grade. That's why I'm having you start reading the book. Okay? So yeah, that's what I said. The book is a reward grade. If you do a good job of keeping up with everything and writing everything down, it should be a good test grade, but that's all on you, okay? So what you're going to do is when you get to the Plant Web Quest, you're going to, this background information, if you don't remember these things, I can help you, but this is background information we've already talked about as of yesterday. You're going to go through the directions, click on the links, and answer the questions. Don't spend too much time on one website because there's like only 2 questions per website, 3 questions per website. It's not really in depth. But the Plant Web Quest is found on my website under the kingdoms, and it says Organization of Plant Kingdom Web Quest and Plant Responses, okay? Some of these things have videos, so when you get to that point, make sure you have headphones or play your video kind of low. For the first part of the web quest, let me see how well we get set up. If you ask me to listen to music, I will say yes when we get to the point where I feel like it's okay to, okay? So, if you don't know what you're doing, go get the laptop you logged onto, bring it back to your seat. Very few people will be sitting at the lab station, so the laptop's back there later. If you want, you can even watch videos. 2 days. 2 days. Do you need to log into that? And take notes on the notes. You might be able to do it here.
Where were you at lunch?
Go to my website.
Always take the test.
There's a lot.
Thanks for 1 second. Let come back and then go. Just watch her.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to come around and see what you got right and wrong on that plant vocabulary. So I'm just going to look at the paper, just make sure your name's on it so I can see it. See who I'm looking at. If you didn't do it, well, at least you have something to study from now.
Yep. Is this the one? Are you sure? You positive?
Yeah, guys, that first PDF you pull up is long. Do not look for the whole thing. Look at the first page with all the answers you need on the first page. that's fine, but please stay on task with these plant websites. You should finish this hopefully today. And if you need to help each other, of course, answer each other's questions. I'll be around. Thank you for staying on task. This helps me reward you more often.